You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. And we are back. I am joined by Dr. Chuck Kennedy of Project Psi. We have been talking during the break, as people are wont to do. And we have a lot of the same opinions. I knew that going into this anyway. So we were discussing before we went to the break your remote viewers and the work that they're doing and the astounding number of cases that y'all have managed to work through and provide conclusions for. It's overwhelming, Chuck.
We try to help. I never in my wildest dreams thought we'd be where we are today. It exploded. It just blows my mind. But one of the goals was, people, you mentioned you're in the paranormal and everybody laughs at you. Yeah, well, we brought home 45 abducted children. What did you do today?
There you go.
And when the paranormal can give back to the regular community, I think that's a beautiful thing. And that's what we wanted to try to do. And when you bring home a missing child, first it leaves you speechless. And then it turns you into an amazing storyteller. It's just, there's no greater feeling on earth than to help a child. And that's why the entire team is here. We've worked a lot of cases that are human trafficking cases. Human trafficking is just exploding. And we try to help where we can. It is. It really is. It's if I could get rid of anything on earth, it would be greed, because all of this comes out of greed. Human trafficking is a business. When you can, if you got a drug dealer that buys a kilo of coke, splits it up and sells it on the street, when that coke is gone, he's got nothing. But if you can get a child where you can then pimp them out, that's on average $600,000 a year per child that they're pimping out. And you pimp them out 30 times today. Tomorrow, you got another 30 times you can pimp them out. It's endless. And so many of the criminals are switching from, it's the fastest growing criminal enterprise because it's endless. There's no bottom like there is anything else. When you never run out of selling product, because there's always a child you can grab and sell. And it just is the sickest thing on earth.
And women,
it's all pure greed.
I mean, they don't just go after children, which is, the children are, I think, the most horrid, because it is completely robbing innocence, and you can't get that back. Yeah. That genie doesn't go back in a bottle.
No.
But with the women, it's just equally astounding, because they are completely, like, even an assertive, almost aggressive person becomes submissive because they think that nobody is ever going to help them.
And their family is threatened, so they comply just to protect their family or the people they care about. And it's not just women. There's about 40% of human trafficking is males too. So, It isn't just the sex trafficking. Most of the times when you see somebody on the side of the road with a sign that says homeless, please help, they collect that money, and that money goes to their pimp then. Even though they aren't sex traffickers, they are victims of human trafficking, because they're out there basically pimping themselves on a street corner on an expressway ramp to collect the money that they don't even get. They have to give up to their pimp.
And even if you offer to help, Chuck, they won't accept it, because I stopped. There was a woman who had obviously not been out that long yet. And I stopped and I said, "Why are you here?" do you want help? And she said, well, our house burned down. She had this whole story. And,
Yeah.
the house burned down. They were having to live in a hotel. That's why they needed the money, blah, 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 blah. And I said, what's your last name? And she gave me a made-up last name. And I called the school, and I said, do you have a family that you're aware of being in this situation? I'm not going to ask for a name, but are you familiar with someone? I came across someone that said this was going on. And they said, we don't have anybody in that situation. And it wasn't that big a school. They would have known. So I saw her again at the same intersection a couple of days later. And I stopped again and I said, I'm going to tell you that I can help you. I have friends that have this, that provide the services you need to get home to do what you need to do. And she wouldn't leave. It was the most tragic thing I've ever. I'm sure we were being watched,
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would have put her in my car right then. And she wouldn't do it.
Yeah. She was too scared. It's really a horrific situation, and it's exploding. It's growing like crazy, and it's just so horrible. And anybody can be a victim, like you said, even adult women. And it just is, it's so horrible. And it's very hard to fight. We've had a lot of missing person cases where we tracked. Now, we had one case. We were tracking a team of human traffickers across the Midwest, Iowa, and Nebraska, and they were based out of Texas. And we got one of the team members got the vision of a shipping container down in Texas City in the port of Houston. And I got a hold of authorities. Well, that had to go through all these chains. But anyway, the ship took off with the container, and they had to get a special warrant from the State Department and Department of Justice, and by then the ship was gone. But they met the ship down as it was going through the Panama Canal, where it was headed out into the Pacific to go to Malaysia. And the FBI was at the Panama Canal, and they stopped the ship and searched the container because we had numbers for the container. And the girl we were looking for wasn't on the container, but they found 13 others. So they just throw them in a shipping container and send them halfway around the world. It's just horrific.
Well, it's
hard to even imagine.
We have a question for you in chat. Do you mind?
Perfect. I love questions. I have answers. Let's see if they match.
I know you do. This is from Charlie. And Charlie says, Chuck has a book on exorcisms. What does the title mean?
The only easy day was yesterday?
Yes.
It's how to fight demons without losing your soul. And the reality is, when you're dealing in demons, the devil doesn't come at you with horns and a pitchfork. The devil comes at you with everything you've ever wanted. And then once you get it, you pay the price. So I have so many people say, oh, I want to be a demonologist. Mm-hmm. You have no idea what you're getting into.
No.
It's no piece of cake. And but the only easy day was yesterday. You made it through yesterday. You survived. That was the easy day. Who knows what you're going to run into today? And that's what the only easy day was yesterday is a motto for the Navy SEALs. So that's why I picked that, because I've done exorcisms that were not pretty. Actually, I did an exorcism about 2 months ago, and I had been sick, and so I wasn't at 100%. This was a 10-hour exorcism. By the time I was done, the demon slammed me against the door jamb. I split my forehead open, ended up with a black eye, and cracked one of my front teeth in half. And now I look like I grew up in the Appalachian or something. But they can get very intense.
They can.
And for the people that wanted, this story drives me crazy. I'll have people, I want to be a demonologist. I want to do exorcisms. And I ask them about, their belief system. And they go, I don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, you don't believe in the devil.
Yes.
You can't believe in light and not believe in darkness. You can't believe in hot and not believe in cold. So if you don't have a belief system that includes a greater power, you don't have anything to worry about with demons because you don't believe.
Right.
It's just that simple.
And they're not going to fool with you unless you become a game for them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
they have to know they can get to you. And if you don't believe in anything, well, they can't get to you.
Well, you may not believe in them, but they believe in you.
They sure do. And they will come at you with everything they have. And it's not fun. As I said, the only easy day was yesterday. We made it through that.
I'm glad you shared that. And Charlie, thank you for that question because I did not know that answer. So I appreciate that. And when you... I'm sorry. For anybody who's interested in one of my books, if you go to projectpsi.com, all my books are there. Even my healthcare books are on projectpsi.com, including the newest one on Project Psi, the real story behind Project Psi. I'm excited about that book. There's so many people that have questions about Project Psi, and there you are just presenting all the information they could ever possibly want to know, including why it developed. And we have another question for you, but we've only got about 3 minutes. I'm going to shoot it at you, and if we have to take it up after the news break, we'll do that. But Frank wants to know, how has Dr. Chuck's research in neuroscience affected his views on the afterlife and spirituality?
It gets back to your belief system. A lot of scientists don't believe in God, so they don't believe in the afterlife. I was at an event at a university teaching hospital in Dallas, and I brought it up. This was in the neurology department at this hospital, and I said I use this equipment for ghost hunting, and they said, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. And I said, the reality is, if I can prove the existence of the afterlife, if I can prove the existence of ghosts, I'm one step closer to proving the existence of God. And that's really what scares you guys. And
yes, it is.
And the people that believed in God there, they said, boy, you hit the nail on the head. And that's what it's about.
That's interesting. I find that interesting because you wouldn't think that would be something that they would even concede.
Well, a lot of scientists they don't believe. Einstein believed in God, but there's a lot that don't. And sadly, I know a lot of neurosurgeons that believe they are God, but that's a whole other story.
That's just about any surgeon, really. They have to make that initial incision.
I used to work with a cardiologist that literally answered his phone, God speaking.
Get out of
town. This guy was so arrogant. Nope. He would answer his phone, God speaking. Oh. He was such a jerk.
And we have another question in chat from Charlie. I'm going to save this one until after we come back because we've only got about 45 seconds. So, Charlie, be patient with us. But, I'm so excited that you're here, and we're going to have so much fun with our second hour. Can you believe an hour's gone by?
No, this was one of the quickest hours I've ever done on radio.
I know, right? It's just because it's a good conversation. But
it is. It's fun.
But for those listening, we'll be back. Maybe there'll be a little good news in this today. You never know. That's what I'm hoping for. But we will catch y'all on the flip side. Good time to fill up those coffee and tea mugs and wine glasses if you're up there in the frozen north. And we will see you in 5.
Support for NPR and the following message